What's up, guys? I'm Alan Branch from Project 49. My man Dustin Seegers is in the house. What's up, buddy?
What's up, buddy?
All right, so tonight is the kickoff of our all-new training, Breaking the Fat Loop. So we got to give everybody a few minutes to get on board so we can really break this down and explain it to you. But this is a free training. It's in our Project 49 Facebook group. And this training, Dustin, is sort of a revolutionary approach to figuring out why some people get like crazy good results from their workouts and other people don't get anything.
Right. Absolutely. Because it identifies quickly what people think. They know something's wrong in their fitness program, but they can't put their finger on what it is. We're helping you put the finger on what it is and to identify it quickly and then not repeat it and get out of it and get on a path of wellness and health, so that you don't have to go back into that relentless pattern of no progress and frustration.
Well, it seems like almost everybody that works out in a gym is stuck in a fat loop, because unless you've gotten the results you wanted and you're not experiencing some crazy frustration from the training that you're on, then you're in the loop. So here's what I like to do at the beginning of a call is explain to people who the program is not for. You've already lost all the weight you want to lose. Your clothes fit the way you want them to fit. You don't have trouble figuring out what to eat, so your diet is tight. You're not plateauing on your weight loss, and you're not caught in a yo-yo of weight loss. If you're already have all that handled, you feel great, your clothes fit great, you don't have any stressors when it comes to exercise, your joints don't hurt, you can move on. You don't need us. But if that's not you, you may want to hang around because we got some great stuff to tell you. So if you're new to Project 49, comment down below and say hello. There's an option to click a StreamYard link that will let us see who you are. And then our program, the way we do it, we like to build a little community. So you just say hello down in the comment section. If there's somebody down there that you know, just speak to them. Dustin, I'm going to take a quick look and see who we got. Wow, we already have a house full already, and we're just getting started. So greetings from Alaska. Cynthia, glad you could make it. Leanne, Dr. Strange, Michael Bertram. Guys, if you're new to Project 49, we do have people all over the country. So we're now in 48 states, and we've trained people just about everywhere. I have to go back and identify which states we don't have yet. I think it's Maryland and it's one more, maybe Connecticut or something like that. I don't think we have Connecticut. But anyway, been a great expansion. Project 49 has been going on for a little over a year now. And again, during that time, we expanded quite a bit. But this is something brand new. This is a 3-part training series, so you don't want to miss any of the trainings. And this one is called Breaking the Fat Loop. So Dustin, first thing, when people are caught in a fat loop, there's a couple things that happen in there, and we've got a graphic we want to use for you guys tonight so that you can sort of get an idea of what this fat loop is, and then Dustin and I are going to explain this. Now, again, guys, the reason for this training is to help you identify why things that you're doing are not working, okay? And until you know this, it doesn't matter how many programs you do or how many videos you watch or how many fad diets you take, you're never going to get the results. So we want to break what's called the fat loop. And the fat loop is what we refer to as a cycle of weight loss frustration. Dustin, is frustration a good word to use?
Yeah, most certainly. That's where people end up, and they usually quit, or they stop for a while. They start putting some body fat back on, and then they try to get back into doing the same thing they did before. And it's just this cycle, this lifelong cycle of quitting and starting and quitting and starting. And then they get to where their joints can't do it anymore, so they just quit altogether.
Well, let's break this down and explain the fat loop, and then we'll get into different training. Now, this fat loop doesn't just mean there's several versions of this. So this is going to be all inclusive, and it's going to include some problems with cardio, some problems with strength, and some problems with diet. And then, of course, we have the biggest problem, I think, still is your mind. I really believe that, and we're going to deal with that. So when we get into the fat loop, we'll start with this person. Okay, Dustin. So we have somebody, and for whatever reason, high school reunion coming up, family wedding, family reunion, beach trip, I decide to lose weight.
Right. Yeah. So this person, what that translates to is they want to lose body fat. So they want to lose inches in their clothes, and they want to look more fit, more healthy, maybe slightly more, just frankly, a little bit athletic. They want to look fit. They want to look healthy. And that means they want to take some body fat off of their waistline. They want to see a smaller waistline relative to the width of their shoulders. That's going to make them look more healthy. If you're females, you don't want these, what I call bye-bye arm syndromes. When you say bye-bye to somebody, your arm is flapping up underneath. I heard a lady say that one time. She's like, yeah, I got bye-bye arm syndrome. So you want to get rid of all that. You want to at least minimize or begin to manage that. And so you get on this mindset, which is you're mentally headed in the right direction. But you're overwhelmed with a ton of information when you try to do any kind of a search online.
Well, and where the women, one of the biggest problem is the bye-bye arm. With the men, it's the Dunlap, the belly Dunlapped over the belt line. And for me, what I'm interested in with all of my male clients is I want your chest to stick out further than your stomach. When we accomplish that, you're in better shape than 65% of the men walking around just by doing that part. So we're on the right track. At this stage, someone says, hey, I want to lose some weight. So they typically will pick up the phone, call a gym, or they'll go on YouTube or whatever, and they pick out a program. So the number one problem that we have is they'll do too much cardio. Now, Dustin, typically, and we're going to be getting into the details of this later on in the week, okay? But doing too much cardio, in my mind, I feel like I'm going to start doing these cardio workouts so that I can what?
The goal is to lose weight, back to the first slide. And the idea there is they think that if I keep doing all this cardio, then I'm going to lose the body fat and I'm going to get that physique that I want.
But it never happens.
It never happens. It's like working 80 hours a week for minimum wage, expecting to get filthy rich. You start to hurt, your joints start to hurt, and it can be anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 months. But typically that's what happens. They start to see some progress. There's just enough. And oftentimes it's a combination. It is some fat loss, because if you move, doing some movement's better than nothing. You will lose some body fat, but you also lose a whole boatload of water. And then you try to replicate that 10 pounds that you lost in a period of 2 weeks. You keep trying to do it, and it's this law of diminishing returns. And so you do more cardio. So instead of doing 15 minutes, doing a warm up and then doing 15, 20 minutes total, 2 to 3 days a week, you start doing 60 minutes a week. And then you start doing it every day. And before you know it, you're frustrated because you hurt all the time. You're sore all the time, and you're still overweight, obese, and you're not making the progress that you originally thought you would be making, especially for time investment.
Well, one thing to mention too that's very important, and we're going to get into this a lot more later on in our next training, and it's going to be one you don't want to miss when we start talking about the cardio training. But this is something that everybody tuning in tonight needs to understand. If you go on a cardio-based program to lose weight, such as hitting the road running, tons of cycling, whatever it is that you pick, okay? When you lose 4 pounds, like you get on the scale and it shows 4 pounds down, typically 1 pound of that is lean muscle tissue. So what you have done is you have forsaken the most precious organ you have, your muscle mass, which is responsible for more than how you look in a t-shirt. It's how you move. It's glucose disposal. There's a lot of things that your muscle tissue will assist you with, but you are sacrificing muscle tissue to to lose a few pounds of a number on a scale. And there's many more problems, but that's the start. Because when you start losing your tissue, your metabolism is slowing down. So you got to stop it with the cardio. And Dustin, I think there's and we'll cover all this more later on, but there's an endorphin rush, and people start to like it, but I don't know if they really like it or if they like the result that they think they're getting. There's a problem in there, but that cardiovascular training is the start of the fat loop, because if it's done incorrectly, and what percentage of people you think you do their cardio training incorrectly? Give me your personal stat.
Probably 98%.
I was going to say between 95 and 98. So they're doing cardio, but they're not doing it the smartest way. So that is phase one of the fat loop. Now, it's weird that cardio training is part of what we call the fat loop. You'll figure out more. You'll know more later on as we get into in depth. But the idea is it's going to leave you frustrated and you quit, and you're going to be stuck in a loop. And we're going to explain that later. The next part of the loop is people who get into poorly designed or applied strength workouts.
Yeah.
And Dustin, so what happens?
Well, it's people are doing strength workouts that end up putting a tremendous amount of stress. It's working their muscles, but it's not very efficient in doing that. It's very inefficient in doing that. There's more momentum involved, which puts a tremendous amount of stress on your joints, your ligaments, and your tendons. And for someone that is, I'm in my late 40s. For those of us who are in anywhere from your late 30s all the way to your 60s, you're just not feeling that. You really don't. In other words, you really don't want to be doing that. You're not interested in going around hurting all the time and having, tendonitis in your lateral elbow or carpal tunnel in your hands. And things are just, shoulders are starting to hurt chronically, and high ballistic, a lot of extensive ballistic, frequent ballistic activity, meaning you're bouncing. There's a lot of bouncing going on, and you're lifting weights in that manner. That works great for a 19, 20-year-old Olympic weightlifter. That's a sport. That's cool. But is that going to be usually the best thing for the housewife, the stay-at-home mom, the working mom, or the dad that's had all kinds of sports injuries when he was younger? He's dealing with some early arthritic changes in his joint, or the mom that's starting to have low back pain and some hip pain. Is that going to be the best choice for them? No, because again, just like with the too much cardio portion, they're doing probably too much strength training. The force that's being applied is a very, what I call, scattergun approach, instead of a pinpoint precision, one shot, one kill approach, which is very focused, laser sharp focus on trying to get your strength training lined up with your mindset, and then your recovery, and then your diet plan. Well, all of that's out of whack.
Well, when you simplify it, you basically, here's the part of it that's the loop. It's not working.
It's not working.
So everything you're saying is so detrimental, but on top of that, it isn't working. So you see people that are killing themselves in the gym. The belly is still here. The bye-bye arms are still there. The back fat is still there. They're not comfortable with the way they look. They're not comfortable with the way they feel, but they're strength training. And strength training is like the big part of fitness, but it's not working. So guys, here's where we're coming from. If you're brand new to our program, we've got a bunch of people in the call with us right now. Here's just a few of our clients and what they did in a couple of weeks. There's Ashley in 4 weeks. There's Kelly. She dropped 26 pounds in 16 workouts. There's Laura in 5 weeks. Here's Tommy. I think what we end up, that was a month, I think.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth. And Tim. And there's Maggie. She's in the group tonight. There's Cynthia. She's in tonight. Guys, there's a reason why we're recommending the style of training, because we've proven and we know that it works. And that's why you need to listen to this so you learn. This is when you understand this training, when we've gotten through all three of these, you are going to be in like a different world of understanding, and you'll know how to get it off and never gain it back if you understand all of this. So Dustin, let's bring the loop so far where we've been. The fat loop is that cycle of frustration when people are trying to train and they're not losing weight. Stage one of it is what's called is the cardio problem. And the cardio part of the fat loop is we get caught up in doing too much cardio, thinking that we're burning all this fat and we're really sacrificing some lean tissue. So maybe that's not a great idea. And then, or we start strength training and we're following a poorly designed program, possibly created by somebody that doesn't really have any knowledge, but they're maybe a social media influencer, and somebody picks up that routine and it doesn't work. We have more frustration setting in, and then we have the next part of the fat loop, which is diet, and they'll go into a diet that is not sustainable. Now, you're big on this. You have all these programs the next whatever days. You have, all these different diets and meal plans that we both have an opinion. Mine is the bigger problem is the loss of lean muscle tissue because there isn't enough protein. Yours is simply, hey, it might work, but it's not sustainable. What do you think?
It's just not right. That's the thing, that the vast majority of these diets are not sustainable. There's all different kinds of reasons for that. It's so usually
define what you mean by sustainable. People.
Thank you. Yeah. Typically what happens is you get on a diet plan and you just can't do it the rest of your life. So it leaves you way too hungry, or it starves you of calories too much and nutrients that you need. And as a result, you end up actually losing precious muscle tissue. And you lose a lot of fat too, but you lose a lot of precious muscle tissue. We want a diet that is going to spare your muscle tissue. It's going to leave you feeling energetic and powerful. It's going to allow you to recover. And it's going to be doable. It's going to be sustainable. That's what I mean by sustainable. You can actually do it, and you're not going to go crazy, or you're not going to get weak or get some kind of malnourishment, honestly, from starving yourself of, say, for instance, your B vitamins or folate. Some of these vitamins will have you, or excuse me, some of these diet plans will have you eating a certain way, and you're not getting enough of, say, vitamin C, or you're not getting enough iron. And as a result, that creates all kinds of problems, as we know.
You make me think of so much every time we talk. So the purpose of our meal plan is to maintain the right protein threshold to reach the correct caloric deficit so that you can lose actual body fat while not reaching a nutrient deficiency. So, and interesting enough, I've never heard of a meal plan in all the years that I've been seeing them that ever says, let's help you not have a nutrient deficiency. It's just a fad. And one that gets, some of the stuff that gets me is people that do these plans that try to create ways for them to eat sugar and like eat stuff they just need to learn how to avoid to ever get any result. Guys, do me a favor. I want to pop up the chat. I want to see some comments. If you've ever been caught in a cardio loop of doing tons of cardio, or if you've been caught in a strength program where it just didn't work, or it was injurious to your joints, or if you've ever been on a yo-yo diet of any kind, just comment down below and let us know what that is so we can get kind of a feel for where people are in the group. But we want to be able to address all these problems and help you find answers for them. So we're continuing with the loop. What's the problem? The cardio is done incorrectly. You don't see any results. The strength training program isn't done correctly. So you either end up injured or frustrated, at which point you either quit or go back to cardio, or you start some sort of diet, which Dustin explains is not sustainable, which means you might get a little bit of benefit, but if you're going to gain it all back and end up frustrated, then you're in the loop. That's what we're trying to get you to understand, that there's a loop here forming. And when we've gotten through this training this week, you're going to really understand what we're talking about. So here's where we are now. The cardio didn't work. The strength training either didn't work or left us hurt. We got on a meal plan that wasn't sustainable. And Dustin, what happened?
You quit, and that almost everybody quits. They get disillusioned with the whole thing and say, I'm done. Also, you quit not only because you're frustrated, but usually there's some kind of injury involved. Listen, if you're hurting and it's not working, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Who is going to continue, by way of analogy, who's going to continue to work a job where you're working really hard, but you're not allowed to work also smart? So let's say you're working 14 hours a day. You're working really hard. There's a lot of effort involved, a lot of energy, a lot of mental fatigue and physical fatigue involved. But you're not making any more money than if you would have been working only 8 hours a day. And your employer does not allow you to work efficiently.
Right.
Your
That's a good word.
does not allow you to work in such a way that is smart. Because it's not only just about working hard, we also want to work smart, right? We want to be efficient. And they won't even allow you to do that because it's not part of their program of employment. And then you're starting to feel tired and sick all the time because you're working too much for too little for too long. Are you going to keep that job?
But
no, you're going to quit.
I thought it was about health and fitness, but what people don't understand is they're sacrificing their health for their fitness. It doesn't work. If you're injuring yourself or breaking your body down for the sake of getting in shape, yeah, we're losing on that one, guys. So at this stage in the entry understanding of the fat loop, this is the frustration stage where you're going to make a decision. And that decision is going to be, well, you're going to be unhappy with your result, and you're either going to quit or continue the loop, which is how many of you have ever gotten off and then right back onto the loop? Also, guys, while you're here, make sure you like the video and comment all that you can. We really want to hear everything that you have to say. So if you've ever been stuck in the loop or got back on it, let us know. And I got a feeling that's a lot of people have done that. Also, if you've been in a Project 49 program, shout out a little bit and let us see your results so others in the group can see that. So Dustin, here's where we are with this. They're frustrated. And now we're going to cover one of the loops tonight. Okay. We're going to get a little more detailed in the cardio loop. So all we're going to cover tonight, we introduce quickly what the fat loop is. Now we're going to try to cover one portion of it, the cardio loop, and we're going to do it kind of quick. So our breakdown of the cardio loop is people do cardio. They typically lose a little weight, okay? 1 in 4 pounds of that is lean muscle. Their metabolism slows. They're disappointed because they have saggy skin and less energy. Let's go through it. First thing they do, Dustin, they start their cardio training.
Right. So this is typically going to be 20 to 60 minutes.
Yep.
They make some results, so they think more is better, which actually it's not. It's the exact opposite. Smarter and harder is better, not more is better. And so as a result, they start burning muscle tissue from doing too much cardiovascular work. The cardio they're doing is actually not intense enough, because if it was, they wouldn't be able to do it for an hour plus.
Correct.
Now, with that being said, I know we have some people that may hear this who want to do a half marathon as a goal. Okay, I get it. I've been there, done that. I actually literally do have a t-shirt. I've done it. But I could tell you that after that type of training, was I skinny? Yeah, but I had a whole lot less muscle tissue than I have now. I weigh a little bit more now than I did then. I weigh probably 153, 152. I'm about 160 now, 158 to 160. But I have a whole lot more muscle now and less body fat. So I was skinny fat. I actually did an activity, and I kind of enjoyed it, but it promoted actual less health overall. Certainly wasn't as strong.
You had a different, I remember that time, and it's almost like for a brief moment, you defended doing that because of the way it was making you feel. Mm-hmm. Like you had endorphins from running, even though it was tearing down your body. And as much as this is just we've never talked about this, but my perception was you were somewhat defending doing that because of that. You loved it so much. It was part of the way it makes you feel.
And there was a reason for that. I had just come through, I'm going to be very, very open and honest because I think people relate to this. The reason I defended it was because at that time, I needed something that was going to make me feel better mentally. I was going through a very difficult season of my life. We had lost in the previous year 2 babies to stillbirth and very late miscarriage. And then I also had a major transition. So we had 2 deaths, and then we had a major transition in my employment, in my life that was very difficult for my family. And so I kind of fell honestly into a funk, a mental funk, a spiritual funk. And I needed to find something where I could just go and get and pray and be alone. And it was really the woods, I think, that I covet. I love the woods. I've loved them since I was a kid. I wanted to get out and wrestle and sweat and just get out there and move. But to be honest with you folks, it actually did not improve my health. And, that was part of the mindset. I didn't have anybody to help me, but I am glad that I went through that time, because going through that time taught me something that had to be learned through experience. And it was this. It was, in order for you to address a mental health and a spiritual health issue, you don't necessarily have to do all of that. We're not telling you don't run. There's actually a phase of our program where we recommend some running for those of you that have the joint health to tolerate it.
That can run, right?
That can run. That can run. That can tolerate it.
And there's a lot more to that in the cycling and preventing injuries from it. But with what you're saying with your health, there's already a comment here. Karen did Zumba 4 times a week. After a few months, had painful bursitis, had to have cortisone shots and a physical therapist to recover. So she's saying what you're saying, Dustin. Mm-hmm. You did something that was not improving your health. So that's interesting, because now you're the mindset portion of our training is how we remedy that. There's and we can get into that more when we have more time, because I think we may want to visit that a little extra, maybe do a bonus training just to cover.
And let me just say this, and then we'll move on. I could have run just a mile 3 days a week and not had the wear and tear on my joints.
Right.
Just 1 mile 3 days a week, but I still would have got the mental benefit from the endorphin release. Just run a little bit faster. That would actually decrease the stress on my joints. And run on a rubberized track, run on a field, a better environment with better shoes, much, much less distance. And I still would have had the psychological and the mental benefit from it.
And the relation to the topic that we're on is we're discussing just getting into doing too much cardio when you're when you start a cardio loop. So here's what immediately follows starting that cardio. See, the person will see some result. generally you go from not moving to moving a lot, you'll see some result. They generally don't realize they're also burning muscle. And then there's a little bit of weight loss at the beginning, but there's a very quick plateau. So they will plateau off really quickly. So this man, I don't want to let these go too long because I want people to be able to commit to joining us every night because we're putting a lot into this. But yikes. So many people are following this path, right? Wait, here's another one. I did spin classes and machines and kickboxing, lost weight very slowly, settled to the fact I was in my 40s and this is my size now. I was so wrong. For some reason, I think that's Amanda, but she's not showing up. I got an awesome review from her today talking about just that. She was doing all this cardio, had kind of settled with where her weight is, started Project 49. Now you see her and you're like, what the heck? She looks fantastic. But so there's a quick plateau. Then let's go to the next one. Oh, backwards. They decide to do more thinking it will speed up the results. All right. So guys, if it's ever been you that you're doing a workout, it isn't working, so you decided to try more, you are in the cardio loop. It's so obvious when you figure it out that you were stuck in that. Okay, because the frustration is, well, dang, if I'm doing this many miles and I'm not losing the weight, then if I double my mileage, maybe I'll get double the result. It doesn't work.
Right. No, it doesn't work at all. And this is what happens. You begin to experience the ankle, knee, hip, or low back pain from the repetitive stress and the cumulative trauma. And so then we're back to this loop. It puts us, you get frustrated, you quit, and you suffer through. And that's what a lot of people I've noticed do. They just kind of suffer through, and then they start another loop. And it's funny, it's not just fitness. I've seen this happen in martial arts. I've seen people that they come 2 to 3 days a week and they start to get really good really quickly, or they're making significant progress.
Well, this is any sport.
Any sport. And they think that this is a physiological problem throughout all physical activity, all physical culture. And they think that doing more and more intensely and coming 6 days a week instead of 2 or 3 days a week is going to help. And they end up getting worse. They end up getting slower. Their ability to throw the jab, it actually starts to get slower, and they start to get sloppy, and they don't sleep as good anymore. Well, why? What's happening? They're overtraining.
Yeah.
And then what do? They break their collarbone, or they start getting rotator cuff tendonitis and impingement syndrome. Back starts to hurt, blah, 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 blah. And all of these things happen. They get frustrated. They get quit. Sometimes they get sick. They just keep pushing. They suffer through.
But it's exercise. It's good for you.
Right.
This is great.
Eating is good for you. Water is good for you. You drink too much of it, and the wrong kind, it'll kill you.
Well, look, but I'm running, and my little watch says that I'm tracking, 600 calories a workout. And then I posted on Facebook, which doubles how many calories I burn because I posted it on social media, and I'm still not losing weight.
Right.
And this, guys, is what we call the cardio loop. And part of the training is how to break out of these loops, but you need to understand what they are. Why is that so important? Can't hammer this in hard enough, guys. 85% of the people that go to a gym and work out don't even look like they're in shape. 1 in 3 Americans is considered obese. I got out of the car coming back I've got a new grandson about to be born, and I was coming back and forth to Wilmington, hoping I time it just right. But I stopped at a rest stop. I get out of the car. The first thing I see, a guy probably my age, probably 40 pounds overweight, barely can walk, smoking a cigarette. Okay. I go into the rest area, turn around, come out. People are standing around smoking. They're chubby. They're very slow. They're my age or younger, They have no ability to do anything. And we can reverse that if they would just train correctly. Dustin, remember the analogy that we had? We always tell people train to be Batman. So don't just train to lose weight. Train to be Batman or Batgirl. Who doesn't want to be able to do that? But I read this story, and it was a military guy, and he was talking about functional training. And we don't use that word a lot for our own reasons. But what he said was this. And guys, if you thought about your fitness program kind of like this, he said this: I don't really care about functional training, Pilates or doing little floor exercises for your routine, whatever that is. He said, because it doesn't build any real strength. What I need to know is this: if we're on a battlefield and I get shot, can you pick my 200-pound butt up with my pack, put me over your shoulder, and carry me to safety? Because if you can't, you're of no use to me.
Yep.
Now, granted, regular people don't expect them to be able to pick up a 200-pound man, but why not? What's the limitation there? Is it leg strength? Is it back strength? Is it stamina, cardiovascular conditioning? What if we can do that? Because I can, Dustin can, any of the girls in Project 49 that have been through our program can, because they've trained the right way. They've broken out of the loop of being stuck in a loop, and they learn to train the right way. And that'll lead us on to tomorrow night's session. And I'll show you a quick little start. And this one is one that you do not want to miss, this one. And it is the strength loop. And it's what happens in strength. Notice I didn't leave it up long enough for them to read the little, yeah. Okay. The strength loop is going to break down the problems with strength training and how we can fix that. And by the end of the week, you're going to have a complete understanding, better than most personal trainers, of why fitness programs don't work.
Amen.
So did you just say amen?
I did. That's habit.
I got it. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. So guys, do me a favor real quick. Comment down below if you got anything out of this. If you understand what we mean about the fat loop. Do you kind of grasp what the fat loop is? Do you kind of grasp what the cardio loop is? Just comment down. I get it. I got it. Been there. Something like that to let us know. And tomorrow night, Dustin, what time did you say you could be here tomorrow night to start this training?
I can be here, let's see, 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, 7:30, 8 o'clock. Okay, so we'll stay same time, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. We're going to continue the training on how to break the fat loop. Now, what you want to understand, the second that you grasp the entire loop, when we've put all these pieces together, it's a giant, massive moment where you finally get it, and then there's the end of all this yo-yoing, all this plateauing, and all these problems. And Dustin, I love it. I love getting through it. Guys, did you learn anything? Did you pick up anything that you didn't know? What would you like to hear more of? That kind of stuff in the comments. Dustin, anything you want to add to any of this?
Yeah, it's really a blessing when you can get healthy sitting home reading a book after eating a very healthy meal with your family. And you're not out beating yourself around in the gym, tearing up your joints, wearing yourself out, thinking that you're doing some good or hoping that you're doing some good, trying to compare yourself to somebody that's airbrushed on a magazine that's half your age or less, and wondering, man, what am I doing wrong? It's that little bitty voice, that little voice that you hear in the back of your head, and it says this, man, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And I know you've heard it at the gym. What am I doing here? This is not working. You got a war going inside of you. You got one part of you that's saying, dude, what are you doing, man? Your shoulder hurts, this hurts, that hurts. You keep doing the same thing you've done before. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting something else different to happen. You've got somebody telling you that in your brain, in your mind. And
like
you've got another part of it.
Little devil on your shoulder.
Exactly. You've got the other part of you that's trying to reason away Well, it gives me something to do. It's better than sitting at home all the time. It's better than, the type of people you were just talking about a few minutes ago. I could be doing that. You start justifying your overtraining. You start justifying your lack of progress. You start justifying your joint pain. You start justifying, well, I'm only taking and I'm not taking as many Advil after my workouts as I was 2 months ago.
That's
and I'm
great.
like, listen, man, if you're having to always take over-the-counter medication after your workouts, please listen to me. You're doing something bad wrong. It should not be that way.
I bet.
I was listening to a guy was 43 years old, and he was talking, I'm not going to say what it was. He was talking about a particular physical activity that he liked to do. And he said, before you go do the activity, he said, I'm going to tell you a little secret that can help you and keep you from having a lot of pain the next day. He said, before you go do it, this guy's 43 years old. He's fit. He said, you need to take 4 200 milligram Advil before the activity, 2 hours before the activity. And then when you get home, you take 4 more Advil. You're only supposed to take a maximum 6 Advil a day if you're sick. He's saying take 4 and then take another 4 after the activity.
Can we please make it clear that that's not recommended advice?
That is completely contradictory to what the bottle tells you what to do. And that is, if you're doing any physical activity that gets you in a position where you are having to do something like that, it is wrong. Come join us. Come home. Come home.
Right. Well, tomorrow night we'll address. We'll cover that a little more tomorrow night in the strength loop, and we'll make sure we get it where everybody can definitely understand it. Guys, this is all week long. It's just for you. So want to get as much information out as we can. We're very passionate about it. We've made it work on a lot of people, and we're the only ones that we've seen who are teaching you this way of thinking. And I want to say one thing, Dustin, because you addressed it. Dustin said that when he got into that certain type of exercise, he was wanting to feel a certain way. He was trying to clear his head. Okay. So we understand that, but we've kind of created a way to view this so that we don't do things that are going to be a detriment to us. So we don't base things on our feelings, because our feelings can ebb and flow very quickly. So there's 2 analogies that we like to use. One is we cater to an audience that's probably that's 40 and up. For one reason, most people won't listen until they're getting close to 40. Some of the smarter ones do, but they start listening. But if you know Lionel Richie, if you're from the 80s or the 90s, anybody can fall in love in the right light listening to a Lionel Richie song. Okay? But the next day, you might be like, oh, man, was that the smartest thing to do? So you were on an emotional roller coaster, okay? And the next day, that feeling might not be the same. The other analogy is people that want to learn to box. People want to learn to box, right? They go to a boxing class. They want to learn to box. They put the wraps on. They look all tough. And then somebody punches them in the nose and they go, I quit. I don't want to learn to box. So the feeling of wanting to learn to box was not backed up by a mental decision to do it. So I learned to box because I was beaten as a child, and I reached a point where I didn't want to get beat up anymore. So I learned to box. So the first time I got hit, it wasn't fun, but I accepted it as part of the process. So in our fitness program, what we're asking you to do is to understand and make a mental decision to follow a process, and we call it following the plan, of sticking to the plan. Not based on your emotions, based on a solid mental decision. Dude, I want to lose the weight. I want this to fit better. I want the saggy arms gone. Dustin, it all is going to roll into mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. It all comes down to that. It
Well,
comes down to the mindset, and we want not only to help you develop that, but we also then, once we've developed it, protect it and
right.
maintain it.
So we don't get caught in this loop. So guys, that is phase one, just the introductory to the fat loop and understanding this cycle of frustration that people get in, providing this training just to get the word out as much as we can about this concept of the fat loop and how to break it. Dustin, you're the man. We'll see you tomorrow night.